Hey, what's up? It's Olcyrus. Just want to say a few things before we go down memory lane. Seattle drum and bass has had a long and rich history. It's involved a lot of people, from DJs to promoters to people who just went out and supported every week, sometimes multiple times a week. Originally, when I started this project, I thought 20, 30 minutes that could cover it, right? No. It's kind of long as it is, and you know, not everybody was around for the whole time. This covers over 12 years of Seattle drum and bass. But the parts that you were around for, I hope you see some things you like, some flyers you haven't seen for a while, maybe a couple pictures remind you of some friends that you had and still have. That's kind of been the strength of Seattle drum and bass, has always been the community. And as you'll see through, you know, the SeattleDnBBQs and the documentary, we always came together. Drum and bass has had its ups, it's had its downs, but it's always going to be around. This is Seattle, man. It's drum and bass. It's what we do. So I hope you see some things that you like. I tried my best to get everybody, but like I said, it's impossible. There's been so many people that were involved, so if you don't see yourself, you know who you are. Thanks for being involved. I have fun putting this together, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think, hit me with some feedback, but thanks for watching.
Rock.
Started with just hearing drum and bass, maybe just 2 tracks actually that I had heard off of this weird promo tape, little promo tape with a Goldie, you know, it said Goldie, there was a metalhead symbol, it said Goldie, but it was a promo tape, 2 tracks, and that's pretty much where I really first heard drum and bass, man. Just had to start collecting. Was that 98, 99? I don't know. Like, yeah, I was under another name, actually, DJ Vape, before the Slantooth nickname. I think that might have been like 97, maybe. But yeah, I mean, really how I got into the whole culture was like living, you know, next door to some guys that were already DJing and in the rave scene. I mean, I had heard drum and bass, you know, separate from them, and at the time they were actually not even playing drum and bass themselves, they were just listening to drum and bass. These cats were, as we know them, the 360 BPM crew. They were basically my next door neighbors, you know what I'm saying? And it was just kind of weird how it happened. Like, their next door neighbor right above them is the guy really where I heard my first drum and bass from. So this was like 1996, but I mean, I got into the whole culture because, you know, me and those guys, you know, we kind of got together as homies, kind of comrades, and the Baltic Room popped up. As far as the club scene was concerned, you know, Marcus really, you know, he made the Baltic Room happen, you know. And as far as the locals were concerned, of course, you know, myself and 360 crew, and you know, many other folks at that time. Kid Hops was playing, you know, there's definitely a lot of folks that make up Seattle drum and bass. Started it, you know. Always got to mention Marcus, man, 'cause that cat made it happen, man, for real. You know, get a certain style out or get a certain set out, you know what I mean? It's not really about that for me. It's more like, yo, you're going from record to record, you know what I'm saying? Trying to make a little story for the night, you know, and that's the shit, man. That's why drum and bass is the shit, you know.
Yeah, hold up. Who wants to start this from the intro? Who wants to rewind on that one? Who wants to rewind on that one? Easy. Oh, make some noise for the stand too. Make some noise. That's the first rewind of the fucking
That was really the first drum and bass night people can point to.
Yeah, Vinylized started, when I started that, well, Vinylized was already an established club that was playing house music and stuff. When I started that night, there was one other drum and bass, 21 and up, at the Alibi Room, which Kid Hops was involved with. And it was more like, it had down tempo and kind of the LTJ Bookham style. You know, back then there was a difference between drum and bass and jungle, and we liked jungle, and then you know, kind of the, I don't want to say whiter, nerdier people like the drum and bass, but it did kind of seem like that. It was more intelligent, and jungle was more rowdy, you know. So we were young and rowdy, and we wanted to hear jungle. So, and there wasn't any place to hear 18 and up. So there was the Alibi Room that was 21 and up, and there was also at the Speakeasy Cafe at the time, there was another group of people that was more sort of down-tempo, LTJ Bookham style stuff at a coffee shop. But yeah, I wanted to create an atmosphere where the harder edge sound could be played, because that's what I was into.
Cool.
Pressure Thursday started in 1997 with residents James and Eva. By 1999, they were already bringing out the best international acts the world of drum and bass had to offer. Ed Rush and Optical, Legends, Doc Scott with MC Justice, Jumping Jack Frost, The World of Drum and Bass Tour, DJ Rap along with Kenny Can and the G Squad, and many other big-name acts from across the globe. The residents of Pressure, James and Eva, were always at the forefront of breaking new tunes. They created an electric, high-energy sound with dark beats that kept people coming back every Thursday for more. In 2000, Eva went down to Last Supper Club to form a new night called Rush Hour, and James took Pressure, at the time the longest-running drum and bass night in Seattle, half a block down the street to Mercury. Mercury was a club that you wouldn't know was there. There was a nondescript door at the end of a really dark alley. Your only clue was the bass coming from inside the doors. The dark lighting and the bare concrete walls always made the hardcore feel at home. DJ Era, a new Pressure resident, got involved in bringing in some international talent. People from the Hard Leaders label, from the Metalheads label. Pressure continued to bring the talent, and they kept it going for many more years to come. Pressure Thursdays continued until 2002, when the night switched to a monthly format, moved to Sundays, and was also renamed The Aftermath. Original residents DJ Era, along with Control, Treble, and now Zacharia, manned the decks for the monthly Aftermath. Pressure presented a lot of playing time for a lot of local DJs, but they still managed to bring in international talent almost every month. The night regained steam, went to bi-weekly for a while, but then ultimately ended when the driving force behind the DJ Era relocated cities. Organic, drum and bass Fridays at the Art Bar. With 3 MCs and 3 DJs, they be getting down with no delay, as the MCs would rally the crowd with that cry every week. Organic started in 1998 with DJs Lord Chillum, who focused on the deeper side of drum and bass, Camera, who filled in the floor pounders, and BSOP, who caught everything in between. Along with MCs Shonuff, Brown Mug, and Sage Nomad, they brought the Roughneck soundtrack to you each and every Friday night. Organic highly focused on domestic drum and bass, bringing in some of the finest talent from around the country. In 1999, the Organic one-year anniversary, they brought out some of the leading female DJs in stateside drum and bass. Sage and Roxana, the Funkatech crew, along with Alley Cat of Skunk Rock Records from the UK. Organic was Seattle's staple for drum and bass, but that doesn't mean they shied away from bringing in talent from overseas as well. Along with bringing in some of the finest talent, Organic also brought in some heavy hitters for their first Seattle appearances like Caliber, Domestic Heads, Mock and Rusta from LA. And there was also the big appearance from DJ Bailey for his first ever Seattle visit at the tender age of 19. Organic Fridays, Rude Boy Drum and Bass. Raves played an important part in the strength of the Seattle drum and bass community that would follow years later. Started showing up around 96 and 97, but by the year 2000, you always saw at least one or two drum and bass DJ, and it also spread to parties outside of NAF. Other all-age venues like The Spot and Super Highway would hold drum and bass events as well. In 2000, Dynamo Unlimited, a promoter, really got the drum and bass connection and the power that it had in the city of Seattle. They started bringing in multiple drum and bass headliners for pretty much a dedicated drum and bass room at each and every one of their events. This drew a lot of all ages kids and a lot of older generation crowds that in the years to come would be migrating to the clubs. In November of 2000, Demolition Sequence hosted an all-drum and bass main room for the first time ever at NAF. It featured DJ SS, Twisted Individual, MC Warren G, Zacharia, Nitsu, Wiley, and Slantooth holding it down on the local tip. Promoter, Nitsu of 360 BPM, said this was one of the best drum and bass parties that NAF has ever seen. When it comes to raves in Seattle, there's one promoter, company, production crew that you absolutely have to mention. USC, United State of Consciousness, hosting their annual Freak Night parties every Halloween since 1997. These annual events are more like rituals for people who spend all year preparing for next year's Freak Night. USC goes big, paying attention to every detail, from sound to venue to stage design. USC and Freak Night have always been proper. The other annual mega rave that people wait in anticipation for from USC is their anniversary parties, and as you can see, since 1996 they have not let down the drum and bass community. These massive all-age events continue to inspire new generations of Seattle drum and bass heads every year. By 2000, the rave scene was at its height, and the club scene was just beginning to boil over for the first time. A new Thursday night at Last Supper Club, Rush Hour, featured with the heavy hitters of the local action. They also teamed up with Marcus Lalario, super promoter of Seattle drum and bass, to bring in some of the world-class talent that was in town on almost a nightly basis. Seattle had yet another outlet to hear inside some of the deepest record crates in the business from some of the biggest dons making waves across the pond. Other, more mainstream venues like the Showbox were now hosting drum and bass events. DJs like Donald Glod were even getting in on the action. There was no shortage of new 21 and up nights either. A lot of talent was flown in from around the country, cities like LA, San Francisco, and New York. But a lot of these nights served as a means for the legions of new drum and bass DJs to actually get some club time behind the decks. In 2000, drum and bass super promoter Marcus Lalario opened Ghetto Technologies with UK acts 7 out of its 8 first weeks. It was Seattle's first and only drum and bass club, cafe, and record store. Seattle's new music museum, the Experience Music Project, kicked off an annual event celebrating music and the role that skateboarding has played in it. 3 local drum and bass DJs, Nitsu, Slantooth, and Olcyrus, were heavily involved in the skateboard industry, and they became the first DJs to play in the EMP Sky Church. GrooveTech.com, Seattle's very own internet radio station, Wednesdays 4 to 6 with 360 BPM, Zacharia and Nitsu. GrooveTech voted the world's #1 online radio station 3 years running. Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m., the deep sounds of drum and bass with Slantooth, also known to have an occasional guest stop by. The world was already taking note of Seattle. Drum and Bass Tuesdays was started in 1998 by promoter Marcus Lalario, along with the DJs of the 360 BPM crew and residents Max and Aloe. The night has had a long and rich history, steeped with some of the best names that drum and bass has to offer. Here's an example of the lineup that came through in the year 2000. And that was just the year 2000. Years later, and the Drum and Bass Tuesdays showed no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Still bringing in international headliners on a weekly basis, this was definitely a staple and the place to be for Seattle drum and bass. By 2004, Drum and Bass Tuesdays had inspired a legion of new drum and bass DJs. Up until this point, with all of the world-class talent coming through and the established residents on a weekly basis, it was hard for many of the local DJs to get their chance to play at this legendary night. 2004 was the year when the doors of opportunity swung wide open and welcomed a rich, new talented group of DJs to take part in Drum and Bass Tuesdays. They say all good things must come to an end, but this was far from the end for Drum and Bass Tuesdays. This was just the final Baltic Room Drum and Bass Tuesdays. Original promoter Marcus Lolario was moving the night up the street a few blocks to his newly finished nightclub, the War Room. Drum and Bass Tuesdays continued right where it left off. Actually, it was bigger and badder than ever, if you can believe that.